This is your prime-time forecast for East Alabama and West Georgia from Dr. Don's Weather. Dr. Don's Weather is made possible by the Randolph County Commission, East Alabama Waste, Southern Auction Solutions, Genesis Weight Clinic, Jimmy Stevens Construction, Anchor Roofing, the Town of Wadley, Auction 431 South, the Salem Auction House and Bama Diesel Repair. From the Alpha Weather Center, powered by Boondocks Barbecue and Creamery, Southern Union State Community College and the venue at 5 Points Farms, here's Dr. Don.
Well, happy Wednesday, East Alabama and West Georgia. Great time to head over to Randolph County, Alabama, and pick up that hyper reach. You may need this information as we head forward. Hey, this is your primetime forecast for Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 on Dr. Don's Weather. All you got to do is text the word alert to 256-540-8664. You'll then receive a link that you'll follow to set up your hyper reach to get that local emergency information from Randolph County government. Now, if you live outside of Randolph County, Google your local jurisdiction. Odds are pretty good. They have a mass notification system as well. Now, folks, understand you get weather from different levels of government. You get hurricane weather from the National Hurricane Center. You get county-wide or area-wide weather information from your local National Weather Service office, which in East Alabama would be Birmingham. West Georgia would be Peachtree City. And then local information like road closures, local weather information, that all comes from your local emergency management agency and your local government. So be sure that you sign up for your local mass notification system across East Alabama and West Georgia. Also, get your ducks in a row with Dukas. Jamie Dukas is the guy at 256-831-7770. Let Jamie take care of your insurance needs across East Alabama and West Georgia. So, we have got a lot to talk about this morning. And first things first, we kind of have two different weather systems that we're dealing with today, tomorrow, and into Friday. The first system is going to be a cold front that's coming in from the west. Now, this is going to stall out across Alabama late this afternoon. Ahead of that cold front, we could have showers and thunderstorms. This has nothing to do with Helene. I'm seeing a lot of posts out there that this morning, golly, it's already here. Didn't know it was going to start this soon. This has nothing to do with the hurricane. This is a cold front that's coming down out of the northwest. This is the reason the hurricane will eventually curve back to the northwest instead of the northeast with the Fujiwara effect. Low pressure is going to be camped out over North Alabama, and that's what's going to pull the storm up across Georgia and then eventually back to the northwest. So expect waves of showers today from a cold front, not the hurricane. And there is a slight chance, a small chance, we could see some strong to marginally severe storms across East Alabama, West Georgia, and then down to the south this afternoon. Now, again, understand this is a small chance, very marginal. So don't be surprised, though, if we get a severe thunderstorm warning or two. Even a tornado warning is not going to be out of the question this afternoon into this evening across the eastern parts of Alabama and western sections of Georgia. Moisture will start to increase tonight from Helene as the outer feeder bands, the outer moisture rings, start to push north up into Alabama and Georgia. Understand, folks, this hurricane is going to be extremely large, maybe up to 400 miles wide. So that means that the rain, the clouds, and the gusty winds are going to be far-reaching from the center of the storm. Don't look at just where the eye is. You got to look well beyond that to the north and to the east. Now, to the west, it's not going to stretch that far, but the right side of this storm is where all the nasty stuff is going to be as we go through the next 48 hours. Flooding is going to be the main issue across East Alabama and West Georgia. Understand, the further east you go, the stronger the winds are going to be. But the primary threat across the Dr. Don coverage area of East Alabama and the West Georgia counties of our coverage area, the primary threat is going to be flooding. And gusty winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour will be possible. We have a flash flood watch that's in place now. I would expect a wind advisory to follow, probably would go into effect sometime tomorrow. And then the further south you go, also, the stronger the winds are going to be. Down there in the wiregrass of southeast Alabama, we may have to go with a tropical storm watch down there in the next 12 hours or so. And if you're down in southwest Georgia, South Georgia, southwest Georgia, based off of what I'm seeing this morning, I would seriously consider, if you have somewhere to go, I would seriously consider evacuating that area. Here's the problem, folks. Even if you don't get damage at your home, odds are pretty high now that you're going to be without power for quite some time, unless you're in a major metropolitan area. I'll show you why here in just a few moments. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tropics. Here's the latest track from the National Hurricane Center as of 5 a.m. this morning. Nothing really has changed on the track. It's pretty much exactly like it was when you went to bed last night. Maybe it has slowed down just a tad. I mean, by a couple of hours here. But the track is pretty much on target. Hey, but look at that H sitting up in Georgia. Hurricane Center is now suggesting that Helene will remain it'll make landfall at Category 3, and by the time it gets up to just north of Albany, Georgia, it'll still be a hurricane at Category 1. Now, that's winds of around 75, 76 miles per hour. So, if you're Albany south, I suggest you go somewhere, go back over into Alabama to get away from this thing. And you don't have to leave right now. You can probably wait until around noon on Thursday before you evacuate, because landfall won't be until Thursday night. Of course, it's going to be raining pretty heavily all day on Thursday. So if you can leave today, that'd probably be the safest thing to do. But yeah, if you're down in South Georgia, especially southwest Georgia, this is going to be a very strong storm that's going to remain a hurricane well inland, at least up until about Albany, Georgia, before it starts to drop down into tropical depression or tropical storm status. And then as we get on up into East Alabama, again, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gust. But very heavy rainfall is going to be the issue in East Alabama and West Georgia. In northeast Georgia, where I am, things are looking pretty ominous this morning. Now, I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I want you to understand this could be a very serious situation for most of the state of Georgia, especially along and to the right of the center of circulation. So that would encompass all of East Georgia. And then when you get up here in Northeast Georgia, the rains could be amplified because of the interactions with the mountains. And we could be looking at some significant flooding issues up here in Northeast Georgia. And, of course, winds in the 40 to 60 mile per hour range as well. That's going to bring down a lot of trees. And, of course, when we have trees fall up here, you know what happens. We lose power and roads get blocked. So let's look at a couple of different products here this morning. Let me get down to where I'm supposed to be here. Okay, here is the latest spaghetti models, and you can see that all the models now are in very good agreement on where this is going to go. So I think confidence level on the track of the storm is probably as high as it's going to get now. So we're looking at high confidence level on the track of the storm. We've got high confidence level that there will be effects from this storm. We're still probably just a shade north of medium confidence on what you're going to see across this entire track. Here is the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. This is telling you that you got 100% chance of seeing at least tropical storm force winds along the Big Bend coast. Then you drop down to about a 90% chance all the way up to around Albany. In East Alabama and West Georgia, you got about a 30 to 40% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds. That's 39 miles per hour or greater. So I think you're in the 25 to 35, maybe 40 mile per hour wind gust category there in East Alabama and West Georgia. And even up here in Northeast Georgia, we're in that 30 to 40% chance of seeing those tropical storm force winds. But you got to understand, our elevation is higher up here. The higher you go in elevation, the stronger the winds are going to be. So I think we're probably realistically, especially up on the ridge tops of the Appalachian chain, we're looking at 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gust when we get into the height of this thing. Now, we've slowed the storm down just a little bit. So this may be a more of a pre-dawn Friday morning and Friday event up here in Northeast Georgia. For East Alabama, it's going to be after midnight on Thursday night into Friday, and it may linger into early Friday afternoon across East Alabama and West Georgia. Friday night football still looks pretty good across the region, though, down across East Alabama and West Georgia. Here is the rainfall forecast for this event. And we're looking at probably in the range of 8 to 12 inches of rain up in the Northeast Georgia mountains. And I think 4 to 6 is plausible across East Alabama and West Georgia. Officially, the National Weather Service is saying 3 to 5. I think they're going to up that this morning. I think we're probably more like a 4 to 6 with some localized 8-inch totals possible across East Alabama and West Georgia. I really believe that rain is going to be the issue. It's going to rain today. And the rain you get today, again, folks, is not going to have anything to do with a hurricane. This is a cold front that's coming in. And then we start to see the moisture from the hurricane increase late tonight. So we got rain on Wednesday night, Thursday night, and probably lasting up until around noon on Friday. So we're looking at an extended period of time here with periods of very heavy rainfall. So I think flooding is going to be the real deal for East Alabama and West Georgia. If you live in a flood-prone area, you need to be prepared. The tornado threat, again, across East Alabama and West Georgia is not zero, but it is going to be extremely low as far as the hurricane is concerned. There's also a low chance this afternoon associated with that cold front. And there are this is the flash flood risk across the southeastern United States throughout this event. And you'll notice up here in Northeast Georgia, we're in the purple, which is giving us a 70% chance of dealing with flash flooding up here in the mountains. As far as East Alabama and West Georgia, you're at about a 40 to 50% chance of dealing with flash flooding before all is said and done. All right, so how about some current conditions at the venue at 5 Points Farms? We've got 71 degrees, feels like 72 out there. It's already a little muggy. The wind is pretty calm at the moment. The humidity is 94%. High temperature yesterday was 91.5. Sunrise this morning at 6:32. The sun sets this evening at 6:36. And we do have some rain showers in the area this morning. Here's your 6-day forecast from the Alpha Weather Center. Jamie Ducas, your local Alpha agent. A 90% chance of rain today. Showers, maybe a thunderstorm this afternoon. There is a marginal risk of severe weather, including tornadoes and damaging straight-line winds, but that's a very small chance this afternoon. 78 will be the high, down to 68 tonight. We'll maintain that 90% chance of rain this evening. And then on Thursday, 100% chance of rain. 72 will be the high. as the moisture from Helene starts to move into the area. And then we will get into the height of the wind after 10 p.m. Thursday night, probably going to be closer to midnight before we start to see that. And it'll be breezy prior to that, but I'm talking about the 30 to 40 mile per hour wind possibilities. That won't occur until probably after midnight Thursday night, and that will continue through maybe around noon-ish on Friday. 72 will be your high Thursday, 74 your high on Friday. But you can see that rain chance comes way down on Friday, only a 30% chance. And I think we're going to maintain about a 10 to 15% chance of a brief passing shower during football on Friday night. But overall, the storm should have already pulled off to the northwest. And I think the Fujiwara effect will pull that thing back up to the northwest and get it out of here just in time for high school football on Friday night. But a lot of Georgia is going to have a mess to clean up, and I don't want to downplay the effects that this thing is going to have along and to the right of the eye of the storm. We'll show you here in just a few moments what I'm talking about. Saturday, mostly sunny, 78. Same thing on Sunday, and maybe rain returns out there on Monday with a high temperature of 78 degrees. And don't forget, flood watch is in effect and goes through Friday for East Alabama and West Georgia. All right, let's take a look at the Southern Union State Community College Live Doppler HD radar. And we do have the tropical overlay set up on the map for you this morning. First, let's go way down south. We'll show you where the storm is. It's coming through the straits between between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. We're still at tropical storm status. We could go to hurricane status at any moment. And then quickly, this storm will make it to Category 2, and then it will strengthen to Category 3 about the time it's even with Tampa out in the ocean, not over Tampa. And then we believe it will make a landfall late Thursday afternoon or sometime early Thursday evening as a Category 3, and that's going to be somewhere near Carabel. Maybe just a little bit east of Carabel. Then it's going to move to the north. It's going to cross over I-10 just to the west of Tallahassee. And then it will move between Thomasville and Bainbridge, Georgia, probably as a weak Category 2 at that point. And then continuing to the north to a point just west of Albany. This is approaching midnight, Thursday night, as a Category 1 hurricane. As a matter of fact, the official guidance keeps it at a Category 1 hurricane all the way up to just south of Americus, Georgia. And then at that point, we'll start to see the Fujiwara effect take hold, and it'll start dragging the storm back up to the northwest. We should drop down to tropical storm strength by the time it gets in the area of Butler, Georgia, Talbotton, Thomaston, and then the storm will continue veering up to the northwest. It'll make an approach somewhere between Hogansville and Griffin. Should move right over Peachtree City, Douglasville, Dallas, Georgia, Cartersville, Calhoun, and then up into Tennessee, just east of Chattanooga. Now, I know you folks in East Alabama and West Georgia are saying, my goodness, that's awfully close to the house, and it is. But understand, the west side of the storm is the good side. The track itself and to the right of the storm is the dirty side. That's where the severe weather is going to take place. Now, that's not to say we can't see wind gusts in LaGrange, Georgia, 40, 45, maybe even 50 miles per hour. We certainly could. Roanoke, Alabama, you're probably in that 25 to 35, maybe 40 mile per hour range. But folks, the problem here is going to be the rain. You will be in that rain shield as it makes that trek up through the western side of Georgia. Tornadoes, East Alabama, very low but not zero. West Georgia, low but not zero. Along and to the right of that track, the tornado possibility increases significantly. And by the time you get over here into East Georgia, we have a pretty decent chance of seeing some scattered, small, spin-up tornadoes. The tornado threat's actually going to be higher in East Georgia and western South Carolina, and then eventually up here in northeast Georgia, than it will be in West Georgia and East Alabama. Even though you're closer to the center of the track, you're on the west side of the storm. That's the side you want to be on if you have to be close to a hurricane. So that flashing red line, that is the projected National Hurricane official track on this storm. Could that wobble 20 or 30 miles either way as we go throughout the day today in the forecast? Absolutely it could, and we'll be watching for that as we move forward in time. All right, let's go down and take a look at the radar. We do have a few showers out there this morning across northern Chambers, southern Randolph, back up in southwestern Hurd. Light showers at the moment, but look what's happening back over toward the Alabama-Mississippi state line. We have some heavier showers and thunder showers over there. And that will be moving east across into central Alabama this morning and into East Alabama by this afternoon. And if we have any severe weather to deal with at all this afternoon, that's where it would come from. That is one of several pieces of energy that's running out ahead of the cold front that'll push through Alabama later on this afternoon. Again, folks, understand if you are anywhere in Georgia along or east of that track, this could be a very significant event for the state of Georgia, for Northwest Florida and the state of Georgia. Lots of power outages are going to be a possibility. Obviously, the further south you go, the more damage you're going to find because the winds are going to be stronger in southern Georgia. But the Appalachian Mountains up here in North Georgia do weird things with weather. And I don't want folks to think that just because this is so far to our south that this isn't going to be a non-event for the northern half of the state of Georgia. I think Atlanta is sitting in a precarious situation this morning if this track verifies. I think we're going to certainly see 60-mile-per-hour wind gust in Atlanta. And then it's going to drop off quickly as you go back to the west. I know you're sitting in Roanoke, Alabama, and you're saying, Atlanta is just down the road. How are they going to have 60-mile-an-hour winds and we're not? Well, it cuts off. It's a very sharp gradient. I mean, it really is. And the further west you go the farther east you go, along and to the right of that track of the storm, that's where the juicy stuff's going to be. And that's where we could be looking at some significant tree damage, power lines down, without power 3 to 5 days. Prepare for all of that. If you're along I-75 in Georgia and to the east, and then if you're north of I-85 up here in the northeast Georgia mountains, be prepared for the same thing because we could see copious amounts of rain on top of gusty, windy conditions. It'll bring down trees, and we will lose power. So there you go. We're going to be monitoring this throughout the day. We'll get a lot more information. We've got a 12:30 Eastern conference with the National Weather Service. I'll have more this afternoon. We will certainly do a live for you tonight at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, and I'll be posting information prior to that over on Facebook and in Discord. So make sure you follow our Discord community with Dr. Don. Have a fantastic Wednesday. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll see you back in here for a live update this evening right here on Dr. Don's Weather.
This has been your primetime forecast for East Alabama and West Georgia. From the Alpha Weather Center, powered by Southern Union State Community College, the venue at 5 Points Farms and Boondocks Barbecue and Creamery, Dr. Don's Weather is supported by the Randolph County Commission, East Alabama Waste, Southern Auction Solutions, Genesis Weight Clinic, Jimmy Stevens Construction, Anchor Roofing, the Town of Wadley, Auction 431 South, the Salem Auction House, and Bama Diesel Repair. Be sure to like us on Facebook, share us with all of your friends, and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow morning with another edition of your primetime forecast on Dr. Don's Weather.